Slurpy derp, my G's. Hope you guys are doing well. I just wanted to break down this little piano DNB loop that I made this morning because I think it sounds really cool. Here's what it sounds like. Yeah, the point of this video was I thought it could just be a nice little bit of inspiration for you because, yeah, sometimes just hearing a bit of a loop and seeing how it was created can make you want to fire up your own door. So that's all I aspire to do with this video. And I wanted to introduce you to two free pianos that I just downloaded. One is called the VST upright piano from a company called Sample Science. And another one is a dirty electric piano from a company also called Sample Science. So if you go on their website, you can get them both for free. And I was just looking for a new piano because I don't really have a good one on my laptop here. And they both sound really, really nice. So how I made this loop then, let's break it down. I basically just started with a break and a vocal. Just pulled from random sample packs just to get started. But what I wanted to do was I wanted to make use of this piano. So I wanted to compose like a chord progression. One that actually fits with the vocal as well, because the vocal's in C minor. So I started off by making a chord progression with C minor as the first chord, that then repeats, okay, and then it goes up to an A flat major, right? Sounds like this, and the fourth chord is a G major. And yeah, going up to that A flat major like adds a bit of extra tension, and then the G flat major, the G major gives like even more kind of a sinister vibe before it then goes back to C minor. But rather than actually doing the chords like classic, like A flat major and then G major, I did inversions so I could keep the range of the notes all in the same kind of area. So before, if it was just a normal, a normal A flat major, for example, it would sound like a lot higher up. I basically just inverted it by taking the top two notes of the chord down, and I did the same for the G major as well. So that's one cool little thing that, yeah, can help keep your piano like in the same range, which could be quite useful. When it comes to the actual piano sound, I basically left the preset as it is, and I just tweaked a few things like the sustain and the release, and the mix and the on the reverb and the chorus, and the volume a little bit, but I didn't change it too much. It's kind of like a one sound already sounding good type of instrument, you know. Same for the electric piano. Basically, like in a normal piano, or for a normal piano player, the left hand would usually be doing the chords and the right hand would be doing the melody, right? So I thought for the right hand, for the melody, I'll change the piano sound. So yeah, I'll use the electric piano for this one. Again, just toying with the release of the piano and the volume, not too much else changed, already sounded pretty good. And I just wrote a simple melody to fit with the piano chords, just using notes that kind of just fit in the chord progression naturally. I especially like those last two notes there. But yeah, that already sounded really, really nice then with my beat and my vocal. But because I'm a drum and bass producer, you know, I have to put a massive sub bass underneath it, right? So I've thrown in a lovely sub from Current underneath it all. But what makes this sub lovely is because I've not done just a simple sine wave without any movement on. I've actually used 3 sine waves, and it might sound crazy, but theoretically it might sound crazy, but conceptually, if it works and it sounds good and it's a fat sub, then, you know, go for it. So in the sub section in Current, I've got the sub on there with the mono on, partials at 1, a little bit of drive as well. Volume's like pushed quite high at 7.7. So this is like the main parts of the sub. But then over here in the wavetable parts, I've done 2 extra sine waves. They're also actually at the same octave, but what these guys have is they have detuning between them. So you can imagine these two, if I turn the main one off, they have this detuned sine wave wobble quite low, alright? And then I've left them as they are, but I've also applied a little high pass filter to them, so around 76 Hertz or so, just taking out a little bit of breathing room for the other sine wave in here. And I've just sort of done this all by ear, but by sort of combining those 3 all together, I've basically, if I just turn my little sidechain off, I'll brush on those in a moment. It sounds really nice because it's like 80% is that pure main sub bass power, but then with the additional detuned ones, it gives like this 20% extra movement. So it's like quite full, the sub for the most part, but it's not lacking in movement. It has a nice bit of movement on there still, you know. Could almost make a separate video about that because that's a really cool sub bass, one of the best ones I've made, I think. But yeah, then with the pianos, it sounds great underneath it all. And to give a bit more space for the sub, I just took a bit of low end out of both of the pianos. The upright one is my main one, so I didn't take out as much. But the lead piano, I took out a little bit more. So yeah, it sounds really, really nice together with the drums and the vocal, as I already mentioned. But what I wanted to, how I sort of finished off this little composition, just for fun today, is I wanted to do a bunch of sidechaining between the elements, right? So the first thing I had to do for the break was to set up some like ghost sort of sidechain channels, if you know what I mean, muted sidechain channels. So I've chopped out every time where the kick hits, and I've placed that on a new channel, and I've done one for the snare as well. There's actually only one sort of powerful snare, the rest are sort of rim shots. With the rim shots I didn't bother for this, it kind of sounded fine without having to sidechain those, you know. But yeah, basically with the kick and the that singular snare on separate channels, I can use those as an input for my compressor in multipass. So I can basically do multi-band sidechaining in that way. So I started off, obviously, I don't have to show you every single multipass setting, but basically, like, depending on whether it's the kick, I'll do that at the low end. If it's the snare, I'll choose a part in the mid-range to cut out from the sound. And so here with the sub, I just sidechain the sub to the kick. So that's got a nice bit of space for the kick to come through now from the break. Okay, so just the kick for that. No need to do the snare on that because the sub's like very low down. They don't really overlap with the snare anyway in their frequency contents. So yeah, all the other sidechains I did were the vocal. I put a multipass on both one for the kick and then one also for the snare, right? So this one's got the kick and snare cutting through it. And I won't open up every other compressor, but basically on the pianos I've done a similar thing. I've basically done one for the kick on each piano. So each piano has a kick sidechain on. Subtle, just in, you know, not too heavy, just enough so the kick comes through. And then I've grouped up the pianos. I've done a snare sidechain on there as well, so a little bit of a mid-range ducking for the snare. And then I've done another one on the piano group from the vocal. So the vocal actually gets to sit, the vocal gets to push through the piano and be heard a bit clearer. So without it, it's they're kind of like in a similar sort of area of importance, but when I put this on, brings the vocal more to the foreground, so it gives the vocal more priority, as it should have. Okay, so just some subtle, you know, multi-band sidechaining to just tighten up the clarity of the mix, you know. And I wouldn't, pardon me, I wouldn't always sidechain like this, you know, I wouldn't always use just a break. I just did this tutorial just for a quick bit of fun, you know. But if I did, you know, it wasn't really an issue though, because as long as I created my separate sidechain channels here, I'm still able to get the right trigger points for the right kick and the right snare, and then use those to control the rest of the sidechains, you know. But anyway, I just thought these pianos sounded really cool. Like the Bescu one for like a natural piano sound, and the E piano. Yeah, also sounded really nice, and it was great to use them together. And that's pretty much it today. I just wanted to do like a little bit of inspiration tutorial for you guys. Maybe you guys think, oh, that's cool, I'll fire up my DAW now and do some music. That's all I can hope to achieve with this video. But yeah, a couple of little tips, as I mentioned before, like writing your chords to create a nice like feeling and a nice mood, and changing around the inversions of the chords if you want to like get a bit more of a cohesive piano sound that doesn't go all over the range, you know. And yeah, putting movement into your sub, super important. Like, don't just do a standard sine wave, it could be quite boring. So try and put some movement in, even if it's subtle. It'll make a massive difference to like the life of your low end. And yeah, multi-pass is just my favourite way to sidechain at the moment. I'm just doing little bits everywhere and trying to get clarity where I can, you know. And it's a great way. I think the multi-pass with the compressor, it works very fast, so it's kind of my favourite way to do sidechaining at the moment. So yeah, that's basically it for today. If you like that, if you like my videos, if you like the channel, we have links down below. You can book one-on-one lessons with me if you want to take things further. I've got loads of preset packs for current, vital and phase plant as well. I do mixing and mastering as well. You can hit me up for hit me up by email if you want any of your tracks if you want me to give any of your tracks that final sound quality polish. And last but not least, come along and join me on Patreon. We've got a wonderful Discord. Can't really speak today. Got a wonderful Discord community. We'd love to have you in there. Anyway, that's enough from me today. Much love. More from me soon. Ciao, ciao.